This is everything you need to know before the second season of Only Murders in the Building. Alright, let's go! The series follows Mabel, Charles, and Oliver. They all live in the same apartment building and enjoy the same podcast, which brought them together. That podcast is hosted by Cinda Canning, who becomes important a little later. You see, one day a guy by the name of Tim Kono is murdered in the building. The police closed the case and said it was suicide, but our three said,
No, that's too easy.
So they came together and started a podcast called Only Murders in the Building.
He said it!
And started investigating to find out what really happened to Tim Kono. While they investigate, let me tell you about each character. Charles once acted in a television show called Brazos, and he will make sure that you know that. Oliver is a Broadway director, but he's in severe debt. He also has a very rocky relationship with his son. Now Mabel is very interesting in this case because she actually knew Tim Kono. This goes years back because Mabel and Tim were best friends with Zoe and Oscar, and together they called themselves the Hardy Boys. Anyways, the group fell apart when one of the friends died, that friend being Zoe. Oscar was then blamed for Zoe's death and goes to prison. And that was enough time for the group to investigate, because back in the present, we found out that Oscar was released from prison. Luckily for Mabel, he's not the killer, because him and Mabel start dating. And speaking of dating, Charles starts dating Jan, who also lives in the building. Anyways, after investigating some more, the group finds out that the sponsor of their podcast, Teddy, and his son Theo, are actually a bunch of dirty thieves that steal jewelry from dead people. And it turns out that Theo was actually the one that killed Zoe, and since Tim Kono knew this, Teddy threatened him to keep his mouth shut, the same way Teddy threatened Mabel and Oliver to keep their mouth shut. But sadly for Teddy and Theo, the group outed them on their podcast. You know, it's actually kind of ironic because he actually paid for the podcast. Anyways, the group does a little more investigating and realize that Tim had a girlfriend. That girlfriend turns out to be none other than Jan, who's currently dating Charles, and she was about to permanently put Charles to sleep. But thanks to Mabel's right hook,
This is for Tim.
Jesus Christ.
she was caught and arrested. Before they could celebrate too much, Charles and Oliver get a text telling them to leave the building. They then go to get Mabel but find her covered in the blood of a woman by the name of Bunny, who was actually going to evict them, but now she can't, because she's dead. Mabel, Oliver, and Charles are then arrested for the murder of Bunny, and the season ends with Cinda Canning coming back and starting a new podcast called Only Murderers in the Building.
Man, that's a good name.
And yeah, I hope I answered all of your questions, but if I didn't, be sure to leave a comment. And if you liked that video and want to see more like it, here's a video that YouTube thinks that you will like. But I'm not sure. Let me know if it gets this right. That's it.